Hello, I'm Miss Lost Waters, and welcome back to another reaction to Death Battle. This time, Rayner versus Simone the Digger. Just in the little prelude thing, they went with oddly chill music for all things considered. In our last 30 seconds. Oh, honestly, I don't know what to expect. The G1 blog was all overwhelmingly voted for Simone, but they themselves said that it was an extremely close fight and could go either way. It was just that, all 15 or so votes saw things that tilted them just that little bit towards Simone. So we'll see what Death Battle ends up thinking for it. Just saw the little dude up there on top left.
Simone the Digger. Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern. Two men born of Earth with the willpower to pierce the heavens and conquer infinity. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Deep underground, Jiha Village lived in dreary isolation, oblivious to the wider world above their squalid cave. That's where the hero of our story comes in. The young man who would lead his comrades into the sunlight at last. Kamina, the great and mighty. Oh, and his little brother from another mother, Simone. He was there too, I guess. Simone was a digger, content to drill endlessly through the dirt, until the day he found the core drill. A key that activated the mysterious buried mech that Kamina named Lagan. Under his magnificently masculine leadership, Kamina finally drilled their way to freedom, seeing the sun after a life in the dark. But the sky was by no means the limit. The surface was ruled by the cruel chimeric beastmen, and Kamina would lead his compatriots against them to reclaim the Earth for humanity, scoring a second mech in the process, aptly named Gurren. And as befits Kamina and Simone's unbreakable brotherly bond, Gurren and Lagan merged, creating Gurren Lagan. With Kamina piloting the body and Simone the head, these two were unstoppable.
Until,
of all the giant fighting robots in all the animes across history, Gurren Lagan might just be the absolute coolest, fueled by its pilot's willpower and capable of making any weapon they can imagine, including missiles, a jetpack, a sunglasses boomerang, and of course, drills!
So many drills.
Kunai drills, shield drills, Kamehameha drills, and everyone's favorite, the Giga Drill Bureku! Side note, it is so funny that the only thing they could think of was drills. That's like if I made booze or something, my whole personality. With Gurren Lagan's awesome power, Kamina laid waste
99 bottles,
liberated human villages, and fomented a rebellion against the Beastmen King, Lord Genome. Until Kamina died. Oh, wait, shit, was that supposed to happen? Nope, and it was all Simone's fault. He let his willpower waver, and his soul brother paid the price. After all, he was just a humble digger, at home in the darkness, guided solely by the light of Kamina's spirit. So his big bro left him with these final words. Have faith in the Simone who believes in you. Damn. Kamina was the one looking up to him the whole time. It was Simone who found Lagan, Simone who pierced the surface, and Simone who would now lead humanity to victory. Especially with his gal pal Nia at his side, who helped pull him out of his rut and kick Lord Genome's ass. But victory only lasted 7 years before the Anti-Spiral attacked. Unimaginably powerful godlike aliens, the Anti-Spiral feared humanity's potential, what they dubbed the Spiral Nemesis. Remember how Gurren Lagann runs on fighting spirit? Turns out that's just a manifestation of spiral power, an energy that all spiral beings, like humans, have. That's right, the laws of physics run on chutzpah. Just as the spiral turned inward represents endless obsession and madness, the spiral turned outward spins forever into infinity.
I think was his name.
The perfect representation of humanity's evolutionary potential. Potential Simone would use as he led Team Dai Gurren across the multiverse to take the fight to the anti-spiral. And this is when Gurren Lagann gets
goes
crazy.
Fucking weird.
Channeling spiral power lets you constantly adapt to threats, no matter how overwhelming. Simone can create portals to different realities and higher dimensions. He can generate force fields, absorb energy attacks, and even merge Gurren Lagann with bigger and stronger machines. Creating the Arc Gurren Lagann, which is strong enough to shatter space and time with a
There's
punch.
some probability
Or the
missiles.
Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which can fire lasers that are fast enough to hit, and I quote, all time, space, and dimensions, all within a Planck instant. That's the smallest unit of time physically possible, meaning each laser would have to be moving 6 times 10 to the 117th power times faster than light.
Yeah.
Oh, well, looks like this wins the award for fastest calculated speed feat in our show's history. Congratulations, Gurren Lagann. Move over, SpongeBob. You've been dethroned. Oh, and the guidebook says
That's
they
funny.
hit an innumerable number of enemies across infinite universes. You literally cannot calculate how fast that is. But it wasn't enough to escape the Anti-Spiral's greatest trap, the Multiverse Labyrinth. An attack that imprisons Simon in his own unique multiverse, forced to experience an infinite number of alternate realities that controlled his mind, permanently arresting him in a dream world. Except Simon and his
I do wonder if this is going to be what they say would be able to get out of the life equation
what makes this even
stuff.
more impressive is that this labyrinth was 11-dimensional. Meaning, Simon absorbed
no
a higher
20D.
dimensional structure several orders of infinity greater than himself. The jump between dimensions is basically infinite. Each new dimension adds a new direction of space that extends infinitely, thus an infinite gap in size and scope. What? Oh, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Imagine
Okay, they're gonna have to get into this then.
drawing interacting with a three-dimensional person. Okay. That's not too far off from what actually happened. Because when Simon absorbed the multiverse labyrinth, he merged with every alternate universe version of himself, including an alternate universe Simon who was writing his own alternate universe version of Gurren Lagann. And that author's spiral power made his fictional Simon real, adding another to the mix. Wait, if every human being has spiral power, you're telling me we can all do this?
Oh no.
This all gave our Simone enough spiral power to form the next step in mecha evolution, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. This is when Gurren Lagann gets actually fucking crazy. Like shooting missiles that alter probability so they have a 100% chance of hitting you, or tossing galaxies around like frisbees. Sorry, did I say galaxies? I meant universes. Simon's power was so immense that he started generating super spiral space, a higher dimension encompassing our own universe. With it, Simon turns his thoughts into reality, letting him create his mech and all of its weapons in the first place. Not only does this mean he no longer needs co-pilots, he can also regenerate any damage done to him or his mech just by willing it back into existence. Like when Lord Genome used spiral power to survive quantum breakdown, or the time Nia, now the best wife in the universe, used spiral power
Until,
to constantly
you know,
regenerate her body from being erased at the informational level for 7 days straight. Information in physics is essentially the ones and zeros that make up every possible outcome in reality. Nia literally regenerated from the statistical certainty of her own destruction. If I have spiral power, Wiz, when the fuck is my leg growing back? When even this was not enough for the anti-spiral,
true.
Simon evolved one more time into Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann! This mech is so big, its size is literally incalculable. And with a drill somehow even larger than that, Simon and his friends shattered the anti-spiral once and for all. Hey, cruel indifference of the universe! Meet the indomitable human spirit!
And fists.
Words prophetic.
And
Simon's
drills.
drill is the drill that would pierce the heavens. With no more worlds left to conquer, Simon chose to wander the earth for the rest of his days, in service to others. Always looking up, for all the lights in the sky are stars, and every star another world of spiral cousins that can live free. All thanks to a humble digger.
Nice. God, that is gonna be incomprehensible to so many people.
Face to face with an interdimensional vampire, alien dictators, or this one really pissed off cat.
That is a pissed off cat.
The Green Lantern Corps. They're the Space Fuzz, an intergalactic police force founded billions of years ago by blue leprechaun gods. And the greatest Green Lantern among them.
I saw the
was
fucking
everyone's
horror
favorite,
leprechaun there.
Hal Jordan. You know him. You love him. You might hate him. But you gotta respect the man with a will
Good
as
shit.
unbreakable as Hal's. Until the day his will broke. After his hometown got completely
Wild to me that people
obliterated,
still argue
Hal
that
lost
Ben
his mind.
wins.
He rampaged through the core, killing everyone in his path, and absorbed the central power battery, the literal Green Lantern, becoming the Emerald Tyrant, Parallax. There was only one survivor of Parallax's killing spree, Ganthet. And with what remained of his strength, he gave the last Green Lantern ring in the universe to a human, Kyle Rayner. So, was Kyle picked for his indomitable willpower like Hal was?
Nope.
He was just there. He had no idea what was
Luck.
going on. Must feel good being given the most dangerous magical weapon in existence to figure out on your own. Hey, if Colonel Sanders, Daffy Duck, Space Wheat, and a sentient fox can master it,
Space
what's your
Wheat.
excuse, Kyle?
There's some
The
weird
Green
Lantern
ring can
Corps
do
members.
anything, fulfilling any wish its user desires as though it were a genie from a lamp. It lets you fire energy blasts, create force fields, affect gravity, turn invisible and intangible, manipulate matter, time travel, warp reality, and erase things from existence. Think we're exaggerating? Well, consider the time Kyle stretched the very fabric of space to increase the Planck length a billion times over. That's like stretching an inch into a light year. Lanterns control time and space, letting them fly so fast they can create a Speed Force singularity. Tapping into the Speed Force requires entering a higher dimension of space, requiring speeds that are not only faster than light, but totally immeasurable. And the rings have an artificial intelligence that operates just as fast, automatically protecting its user from danger. Like the time that Boozer Kilowog survived being erased from existence by the Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Why does the most random Green Lantern guy have one of the more wild feats?
While Hal may have had the greatest willpower in the Corps, Kyle's imagination is unmatched, probably because he's a comic book artist.
And a weeb.
From this show, they think of some wild shit. But the Green Lantern's most recognizable ability is their constructs, Kyle's speciality. Samurai armor, pirate ships, giant dragons, actual working home computers, and his favorite, super fighting robots. Hey, that one looks familiar. Kyle can make them strong enough to lift the Spectre, who weighs as much as eternity. Or hold back a 12.3
Not infinity, eternity.
Bang. Wait, 0.3? DC's multiverse has 12.3 dimensions? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The ring's only downside is that it's limited to 24 hours before needing a recharge. So it can blow up universes, but it has the battery of an iPhone. Never mind, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Although I'd say Kyle's biggest weakness was Kyle. With great power
kind of an asshole.
No responsibility. Perhaps a manifestation of Kyle's self-doubt. Any reflection came too late, though, when one of Kyle's villains brutally murdered his girlfriend, Alex, and put her body in a fridge. Kyle wasn't the only one traumatized. This moment was so infamous, it started the
TV tropes page.
For how female characters are often sacrificed as mere plot devices to further a male character's development. So it might surprise you that it happened to Kyle again. Kyle finally got serious. He became a prominent member of the Justice League, faced off against Hal, and even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever. But little did he know, this torchbearer's greatest journey had only just begun. In order to save Ganthet from an emotional lobotomy, it's a long story, he had to master all the colors of the emotional electro.
Oh yeah, we haven't even touched into the white until
each representing a different emotion. The yellow light of fear lets Kyle manipulate the worst horrors in your mind. The more scared you are of him, the stronger he becomes. Orange light is fueled by bottomless avarice.
Fear ain't gonna do shit this episode.
His attacks, but also their souls. Red is rage, ripping out Kyle's heart and replacing his blood with napalm.
Yep.
Which sounds like it sucks, but it's metal as hell. Blue light is powered by hope and allows Kyle to heal wounds, resist mental domination, and supercharge his ring. Indigo is compassion, reducing his opponent's will to fight and letting him open portals across space, connecting him to others. The final one was the sapphire light of love. With it, he can
did they not mention orange?
Crystal matrices and control their minds. But Kyle only mastered it by forgiving himself for Alex's tragic death. Oh, self-love. I get it. Must be nice. And with their powers combined, he doesn't just make his enemies taste the rainbow. The lights of the spectrum merged, and Kyle became a White Lantern. with total control over the power of life. Wiz, I cannot think of an attack more useless in a death battle than something that makes you live. Empowered by the physical
it's pretty
embodiment
helpful.
of all life in the DC multiverse, Kyle is vastly more powerful than any other Lantern in existence. Far stronger than Hal, who could harness the energy of every power battery across the multiverse. Not only can Kyle instantly heal all wounds, purify corruption, and resurrect the dead, the white light of life is strong enough to go up against threats to all of creation, like the Anti-Monitor. Okay,
the
so
big
it's
one.
not totally useless. Especially after Kyle visited the Source and acquired the life equation. Essentially the source code to reality, the life equation is mathematical proof that life is worth living. With it, Kyle can alter all of reality at a whim, even threatening the new gods like Darkseid. The life equation, like its counterpart,
From the
the
source
anti-life
wall.
equation, is a conceptual artifact from a higher reality, originating in a platonic realm that is, in a sense, more real than we are. So it's not a shock that the equation made Kyle too powerful. He struggled to control it, and it subconsciously manifested a being composed of his fears and anxieties. Oblivion. Kyle's greatest weakness was still
Himself. Yeah.
Kyle spent his whole life struggling with the power that the gods granted him, and throughout it all, he always rose to the occasion, carrying the universe on his back. But ultimately, the only way to stop power from corrupting is to spread it. So Kyle split the life equation into pieces to found his second core, the White Lanterns. And together, they shattered Oblivion, destroying the self-doubt that plagued Kyle once and for all. Not bad for a comic book geek from LA. And now he was the one giving out rings of unlimited power to people who weren't sure if they could command it. So he told them the truth. You can't teach someone how to use such power. You have to learn yourself, making mistakes along the way. But with the power of life at their command, there's no end to their journey, only endless beginnings.
Okay.
Hey, remember Beerus versus Sailor Galaxia? No?
Well,
That's because it was
you couldn't
taken
watch
off
it.
YouTube for being too anime. But we've got a solution. It's our own website. That's www.
I thought they were going to bring this up. Great for episodes that you can't really watch.
A store for death metal merch and a complete death metal video archive. It's got episodes that YouTube has banned, blocked, and censored, and there's even more goodies on the
Welcome
way.
to Hell,
So
motherfucker
check
is
out
back.
deathmetal.gg live right now.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out later. I'll grab some merch.
All right, the combatants.
Okay.
Run the data
I didn't
for
see
all
anything
possibilities.
specifically that...
It's time for a death battle!
What did they end up at for dimensionality? I think 12th for both? Well, let's find out, though.
All right, I'm not rusty at all.
Hey dude, Green Lantern Officer Kyle Rayner here. Ring says you've got a Class A galactic super weapon.
Oh god, we're starting off with this again.
I'm thinking it's the giant mech. Why don't you hand it over?
Gurren Lagann's mine, officer. Just who the hell do you think you are?
Oh no, it's a Balrog. That didn't last long.
I'm told I'm bad with authority.
Tell me about it. 4!
4?
Nice. Oh, going straight to space already. Okay.
That's nothing! My drill will pierce the heavens! Turn your topa Gurren Lagann!
Okay, and we're in white. Ah, nice. Manifest fucking Superman with us.
Really cool.
We do the impossible,
See the invisible.
touch the untouchable.
Break the unbreakable.
If you ain't know,
Now you know!
That's fucking cool. Oh, we're already at the source wall.
If there's a wall in my way, I'll smash it down!
Ooh, already life equation.
Stop fighting. Think about
your fear of death, your love of your friends, your compassion for me, your hope for the
That's
future.
not looking good for Kyle.
Choose life.
Have faith in the Simone that believes in you. Super Tekken Topa the God! My drill is the drill that will transcend the heavens! Giga Drill Free!
And we still haven't seen the probability missiles either, I don't think. That's pretty fucking cool, too. God, that shit's cool.
The super weapon wasn't your mech.
It was me.
Then, Simone, I'm taking you in brightest day, in blackest
Oh,
night.
hell yeah.
No evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern fly!
Let's see you grit those teeth!
Damn.
You'd make a good lantern.
Simone of Earth, you have been chosen.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
Fair enough.
For the guy with the snazzy sunglasses!
When both combatants possess unlimited power, it's hard to judge them by our normal standards.
Yeah,
Take
this one
speed.
goes well.
Simone can hit an infinite number of targets all at once, and Kyle can fly fast enough to surpass the normal concept of speed itself.
When you control space and time, things like strength and speed kind of become irrelevant.
Instead, let's analyze them through a lens more applicable to beings as absurd as Simone and Kyle. Their imagination, their willpower, and their ultimate potential.
First up, imagination. The boundless things they could conjure to use against the other. Both could think up just about anything the other could, like absorbing each other's attacks, fighting across time, anything.
Simone did have a few attacks that Kyle hasn't encountered, like the probability
Yeah,
ultra
those-
missiles, but it's likely Kyle could adapt considering his ring could protect against existence being erased across the multiverse.
And in general, Kyle's constructs were a lot more creative than Simone's arsenal, which was mostly drills. Though again, nothing Simone couldn't adapt to with, say, his energy absorption. Imagination is a draw.
That leaves the other
Makes
main
sense.
factor for both characters, the origin of their unbelievable might, their willpower.
And that's really gonna be the winning factor here, since it's the source of everything for both of them. Whoever's got the stronger willpower wins.
Both can manipulate reality on a multiversal scale with their willpower, but we can use dimensions to roughly calculate a difference. This might sound absurd for most characters, but it's
Yeah.
necessary for beings as beyond the pale as Simone and Kyle.
The multiverse labyrinth that Simone absorbed contained 11 spatial dimensions. That's 1.3 dimensions less than the multiverse Kyle's power can threaten.
And remember,
Yeah.
each numbered dimension infinitely surpasses the one below it.
Which meant Kyle's willpower was stronger at a base level. However, that doesn't
Infinite
necessarily
scaling up.
mean Kyle gets the edge, because if there's one thing both of these guys are known for, it's that they can always get stronger.
So to determine the limits of their willpower, we first need to understand their full potential.
Simone's whole deal with spiral power is how he can constantly evolve to get stronger. So just because Simone starts off weaker doesn't mean he'll stay that way.
Absorbing the multiverse labyrinth required Simone to leapfrog several orders of infinity in an instant. Simone made himself that much stronger through sheer force of will.
More than enough to close the gap with Kyle. Especially since spiral power also lets him regenerate his body down to an informational level. Kyle's never destroyed something that thoroughly before.
Without the ability to easily kill Simone, it was
Spell
only a
has
matter of
nerve-
time
spell
before
power
Kyle's
uses
ring
time
ran
never
low
came down.
on charge.
He can do this
Especially
against
since
Kyle's
Simone
healing
could likely
resurrection
regenerate for at least
abilities.
a week straight, like Nia did. While Blue Lantern Light could boost Kyle's power, he's never jumped several orders of infinity in strength like Simone has.
And while Kyle could manipulate emotions,
Kyle could theoretically
to reduce
maintain a
Simone's
charge
willpower,
by fueling
Simone
his ring
resisting the
power
labyrinth's
from life,
mental
or
manipulation,
even as a white
meant
lantern
he
his
could
ring can
power
overcast
through
nullifies
anything
his
Kyle threw at him.
Everything, that is, except for the life equation. It originated from a higher level of reality and would have more than even the odds.
Too bad Kyle couldn't control it. It was just as much a detriment to him as an asset. forcing him to relinquish it to keep from destroying reality.
Calculate life equation in the what if
himself.
scenario in the
Compare
event
that to
is present in
Simone,
it.
who merged with a
Correct.
version of himself writing a version of Gurren Lagann, and using spiral power to make that fiction into
Hence why you relinquish the
reality.
A
equation.
pretty similar level of reality to the life equation, and a level of power Simone had no trouble embracing and mastering by the end of his story. No matter how you look at it, Simone might start weaker, but his peak will always transcend Kyle's. Isn't that how all of Simone's battles usually go anyway? That's Gurren Lagann in a nutshell.
So Simone's incredible potential eclipsed Kyle, which means his willpower was ultimately greater. Kyle may have embodied life itself, but Simone's unstoppable evolutionary potential would shatter even this lantern's light.
I hope Kyle at least dug the fight, because when it comes to death battle losers, he was a dead ringer.
The winner is Simone the Digger.
Fair
Next time
enough.
on
What's next?
Death Battle.
Tom Wiley. Okay. Makes sense.
Subscribe and join as a member to see more Death Battle. Thanks for watching.
All right. Well, that was definitely a phenomenal battle. I have no idea how. I feel like most people are going to react pretty positively to this one. Simone was kind of the odds-on favorite, so I don't think there's going to be too many issues with it. I know Reddit was weirdly anti-Simone, so it'll be kind of interesting to see their reaction at the very least. But that will be it for now. Next time will be the prediction for Wiley versus Tom, which I feel like off cuff, Wiley is probably going to have that one. He just does drastically more, but we shall see. Have yourselves a good one.